We had one. School bought one. We used it, state, FFA.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
No, state.
Yeah, if we even, like our small soccer teams and things like that, you can,
Yeah, we used ours, basketball.
yeah.
And then state stopped it. Bought it 7 years ago. We ended up having to sell ours.
That's ridiculous. That would save money. Rather than driving a bus, a CDL driver.
I want to welcome everyone here tonight. First thing on the agenda, I'd like to ask for Mr. Lewis, if he would lead us in prayer.
You want me to go through the prayer request?
Yes, sir, please.
All right, sir. Prayer request we have tonight for Anthony Guest, and his father has passed away. Candy Lehman, her husband, passed away. Ms. Diane Shoulders, everybody remember her, and Danny Clare, as well as the students, teachers, principals, and staff, everyone returning to school. Is there any additions that we'd like to add to the prayer list? Say it again? Jeff Hudson. All right. Anyone?
My daddy, he's going to the doctor tomorrow, just get a good report on him.
All right, sir. Anyone else? All right, sir. Anyone else?
My mother's in the hospital in Macon County right now.
All right, sir.
Who more?
My mother.
Anyone else? All right, if you bow with me, please. Father, we come before you. We're so grateful for this day that you've given us and all the gifts and things that you've allowed us, even though we're undeserving. We'd ask that you would watch over all these people that have been named on the prayer list, because we believe that you hear us and that you answer us when it is in your time, not necessarily ours. We'd ask that you guide us in all of our comings and goings and help us treat one another like brothers and sisters in this place, and give us the courage and strength to always say and do the right things and the wisdom to know when to say and do them. We'd like to ask your forgiveness for all the times that we fail you, because we know that we do so daily. But at the same time, we're so grateful for your gift of salvation and the forgiveness that we have. I'd ask that you would be with us through tonight's meeting, that we make decisions that are proper for our school system and everyone involved in it. All these things we most humbly ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing on our list tonight is consent items. We've got board minutes, and we've got permission for to attend the FFA National Convention in Indianapolis. I hope you've all had a chance to go over your packets. Do I have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Not, it's roll call. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning? Yes. Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Superintendent's actions. Anything y'all need to discuss on that we want to look at? If not, let's go on to new business. Policy Amendment 4.403. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Policy Amendment 6.200. Motion? discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next item is bid approval for food service pizza concept program. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussions? If not, we'll do a roll call. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Bid approval for choice of synthetic or wood floors for the gyms at Defeated, Forks River, and Union Heights schools. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Jones? Second. Mr. Apple? Mr. Jones, Mr. Apple? Pardon?
Is the,
Oh,
does each school have the same need for the different, same floor?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's something, this is the proper time to discuss it. That's one reason I asked David to come. I think some schools are wanting the synthetic, two schools are wanting the synthetic, one is wanting the wood. Now, that's something that y'all can discuss, tell us what you wanna do. I think, Scotty, I don't wanna speak out of turn, but I think Forks River's wanting the woods, my understanding,
That's correct.
and the other two are wanting the synthetic.
Well, I'll say that a different way. Forest River is asking for it, but the community is asking for it.
That's,
Wait, what does the school want?
Wood.
Wood. Okay, I think say what the community wants, yeah.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I represent the community, so
I know you
I'm
do,
just
but-
saying that's.
Yeah, I'm
that's
just
what-
saying that what.
I've heard that everywhere
I would
I've been.
listen to what the school would want, is what I'd listen to.
That's what I've been told.
And the question
But-
is, can we mix it? Can we do wood and other?
we bid them both ways. I mean,
Okay. 'Cause that was gonna be I'm glad we're discussing, that's gonna be my discussion. What does the school want? And I figure whatever the school wanted is what they ought to go with. Because they're the ones that's gonna have to, upkeep it. To me, wood would be a little bit more maintenance. You'd have to probably have some kind of tarp and flooring cover if you had your assemblies and stuff like that. But if that's what the school wants to do and fool with rolling it out, I mean, so be it, But I mean, that was the only thing I had was whatever the school was wanting.
My question is why would we pay that much more for a wood floor over the other? I mean, it's what, $60,000-$70,000 more for a wood floor?
I think that's the entire, if you went completely, Randy, I believe that's kind of misleading when we get that. That's if you bid all three floors, wood
Okay.
or all three floors, so it'd be that difference about it. but
Okay,
So I
But
think
still, I mean-
went about
Yeah.
$15,000, somewhere in that range, whatever that is.
Forks Rivers was.
So 20.
8,486, plus you'll have to pay for the raising of the dogs, because that sets higher up, all dogs does be raised. And they give you the price on that, I think it's around $3,000. I think we'll just figure $2 for did a little bit more than that for raising the dogs.
But synthetic there is 61.6, so it's not $80,000 difference.
okay, so
That's where I saw.
why would we spend $20,000 more though for a wood floor?
Well, I mean, the only thing, are you asking me?
I'm just asking anybody. I mean, I don't see why we would spend that much more for a wood floor over the synthetic. And, the synthetic, it's probably not gonna scuff as easy as the wood would, or ding.
Well, I mean, the synthetic ones I've looked at have scuffed, and the principals there told me they couldn't get it off. I guess it's broad as it is long. All I'm asking for, that I've been asking for a year, is that they receive what they've asked for.
I mean, they're the ones gonna have to maintain it, keep it up and whatever.
Don't disagree, I'm just saying, same thing I've been asked for a year, which is what they've asked for.
Any more discussion? We've already got a first and second, so, we got discussion, so is there any more?
Do I need to amend that to specify?
No, I wouldn't think, I mean, it's pretty well written what you made the motion for, and it was second, that's why it's written here, you know. So, you think you need to amend it?
As long as it's clear that two is getting one floor at one price, one's getting one floor at one price, that's clear, that's fine. If there was an option for the board, just to make it clear. It certainly wouldn't hurt to amend it.
Who amended?
Okay,
I'd like to amend my motion,
okay,
to, Forks River to have wood floors defeated in Union Heights to synthetic.
second. Mr. Apple, seconded that. Any more discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Glover?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Self, yes. Okay, let's go on to special education contracts for 2022, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second?
Second?
Mr. Manning. Any discussion? If not, let's have a roll call. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Self, yes. Next thing on the agenda is election for board chair and board vice chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a recommendation.
Yes, sir.
If the board hear me out, then they can get a second, then you do. If you don't, we don't. I would like to ask that the board consider that our current chairman remain in place for more than one reason, and I'll say what those are. Number one, he's conducted meetings in a real professional manner, and we get through them and get our business done and all that. Number two is his availability to the director of schools. In his position where he's retired, I know that there's a lot of times that the director asks him to look at something with him so that there's no confusion when they come back to the board, and he's available to do that because he's retired, which is a unique circumstance for the rest of us. So for those reasons, that he's done a good job in his availability to help the director look at things and come back and give, that way nobody can say the director's coming in here and saying X, Y, Z. We've got two sets of eyes on it. So I'm going to make a motion that Mr. Shoulders retain that position, and those are my reasons why.
Motion is second. Discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What is our normal protocol? I've only been in this position for 2 years, so I don't really know what our normal protocol is to that, because you've been in the seat the entire time. So I'm just,
Well, we're not following board policy. Board policy states that you're supposed to elect a new chairman every year, and it's supposed to be the vice chairman that's supposed to step up to the chair position, and we're supposed to elect a new vice chair every year, and you're supposed to rotate. That's the policy, if you'll look
And
it up.
somebody, and I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, Tommy, I just haven't seen that. Is that somewhere, Mr. Attorney? If I'm making a motion
It's-
properly, I want to
It's
make
in
sure
there.
I'm.
Look it up. It, it started with me. It started with me as chairman. The first year I was chairman, I broke the cycle. I was elected chairman for the second year. And then therefore, since then, and I think Mr. Shoulders does a good job. Don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong. I think he does a good job. But I think if we're going to continue down this road, maybe we better look at changing our policy or something.
There's not a policy you have that you can't,
Right, change. We make the policies.
you make the policy,
But-
so certainly doing what you're doing is fine, if that's the board's wish, but Mr. Manning may be saying it's correct, you may want to revise the board policy.
Yep.
Just so it comports with what you say.
Because it used to, years ago, always kind of rotate around where everybody would have the option to be the chairman. And I've sat in that seat for 2 years, and I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to sit in that seat because that's where we're from, our own districts. You hear what goes on in your district. When you sit right there, you hear what goes on the whole entire county, because that's who they want to call for. But I'm just saying that we might want to take a look at our policy and redo it,
Well, if I'm not doing anything that violates policy, then I'm not going to change my motion.
Well, the policy will say what it says, but again, your board policies are your board policies. If that is the desire of the board, you can do that. I think what Mr. Manning's probably saying is if that's what the board is gonna do, you might want to amend that policy.
If I understood you right, Tommy, you saying that the second time you sat through it, we kind of broke the policy cycle at that time,
It broke with me.
and it's been continuing forward ever since then. So basically, if we're
2010,
violating,
roughly.
if we're violating policy, it goes back that many years, is what you're saying.
And then sometimes you have people that don't, you sit on a board, nobody wants to be chairman. I'm
I
telling you,
mean,
you hear it all.
I'm glad
You get
he's
all.
in it, I'll just put it like that, but, I'm asking you, Mr. Attorney, I've got a motion and a second. Are we liable to proceed with that, or do we?
I believe that you are.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Tommy.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're gonna elect the vice chairman, and I would like to nominate Mr. Lewis. He and I have had a good working relationship. Haven't had any problems, and I'm making the motion that, for him to be vice chairman. Mr. Apple.
Discussion?
Yep, any discussion on it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Gentlemen, now listen, we're all on this board trying to do the same thing. The titles don't mean whatever. I mean, you know, Randy, if you got something you want to bring up, you're going to bring it up.
Absolutely.
Tommy, Joe, all the way around the table, so it doesn't matter. So what I'm telling y'all is, it's been a privilege to me to serve you in this role. I hope I've done a good job when Rick has not been here. But if you don't agree with that and you want to change something other, you're not going to hurt my feelings either. All I've done is sit here and try to do the best I could with it. So that's totally up to y'all. I'm good to do it if you want me to, but that's at y'all's will and pleasure. I appreciate the nomination in a second, but again, it's at y'all's will and pleasure.
There's no more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I will say that I would like for Jamie to get us all that paperwork out on that, and if we want to change that policy, we can before the next election rolls up and vote on it, one way or the other.
Mr. Manning is correct, it's been going,
Right.
we've had the same chairman for several years.
So if we are, we need to get it changed.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Maybe the same thing about a different, I don't know if it's violating somebody's going outside. It's going to continue to go outside if you want to.
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, and that's a benefit, Mr. Attorney, that, you know, you got about Tommy that's been here for a long time, and Joe has been here a long time, and Rick has been here once before and back again. You know, we have that knowledge. I'm not gonna call you my elders, but, you know, because I'm older than y'all are, but that we have that senior knowledge around this board that recalls those things. So, Tommy, appreciate you bringing that out.
And I agree with Tommy 100%. It was, the last time I was on there, it was that way. You had chairman and vice chairman, and then you rolled a new chairman up. But I never did question it. This last time when I got on board, I thought, well, y'all have changed something or done something different. So if we need to change something, we need to change something to get it right. Everybody agreement on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to the copy and paper that we have set out a bid on. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir.
Lewis, second? Second. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Jones. Yes. Mr. Apple. Okay, it's for that copy and paper,
Right, but we're voting on accepting what?
the lowest bid.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Well, that's,
The lowest bid is American Paper.
yeah, right. Oh, you're requesting to use either vendor.
Your other one is local, when it's very close, I think probably the question, way they could, sometimes availability on that many cases. I think the question is to accept them both.
So no one answered the bid, extra paper, because
They won't lock them in.
Volatile right now. Nobody will set a price. So neither of these prices are set. Next month, one of those companies may go up $10 a case or not. This gives the schools the right to shop around a little bit. And if they want to call those companies, they can order from whichever company is the cheapest. Or you can pick a vendor. But if you pick a vendor, if they go up in price, we still have to be with them. So I don't know the answer to
This
this.
price is good, Al, I'm ready.
30,
So, yeah, this was just current, whatever
Yeah.
days I gave you the other day.
Yeah.
It's gone up and down. They
Yeah.
will not give me
they won't lock anything in anymore.
There's nothing right now to lock in from tires to, you can't.
Mid-ten said they would sell us what they have in the warehouse at that price, but once they ordered more paper, they had no idea
But I noticed, and
what it
I'm,
would cost.
just for, I guess Ricky knows, this company Azor has bought Mid-Ten out.
Yes.
So it's still, I mean, it's a locally run company, but it has a purchased by.
So you can pick one vendor or you can let them shop both vendors. I guess.
I think you-
Well, the flexibility would be if that many cases, they didn't have it at one, the other, Nashville Twine runs up here every other day, so. It would give
Ricky,
flexibility.
Let them shop both, then, can we let them shop both and see who's got the best price?
That's what she said, yeah.
As far as I know, Judge, we can get two vendors. We've always done one before, but it makes sense to me to.
And when they need paper, they'll just pick up the phone and they'll call both of them and then,
That's fine, that'd be great, I'm good with that.
okay. Okay, everybody's, we got a motion second. Let's have a roll call. Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, we're gonna go into discussion now on school enrollment numbers for this year, and I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Our enrollment numbers are up just a little, just not hardly 100. We're about dead on 90, 92 students from last year where we started and where we ended, which, the majority of the growth is, I think Owens was about 40 to 60, depending on the day that the two schools combined. The middle school's up about 20, and then we're either helped. Nobody's really down, depending on the day, where we're at. All those schools are a couple up. We know we're growing. We sat in here a while ago and named about 400 houses we know that it's going to be started or going up in the next few years. So I feel like it's very important, y'all know that. We are about 110% maxed out at Gordonsville, 7 through 12. We knew the Forkshire, or the New Middleton split was temporary, about a 5-year. He's got I think he's got one classroom left right now. Where you see growth, that your numbers are basically the same over there, but you've got 5 kindergarten classes going to have to be there this year. So people, when they start, most of them they move young. They don't move after kids get in high school and junior high. Again, we know the growth's coming. We're going to have to start making some preparations. We've got a really good start. We've got everything. We've got most of our positions, other than some specialty positions filled. But we do need to start planning for the future. Like I said, we're up about 100 students, 92 students. So that's countywide.
I'll make a comment or two on that, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, all of y'all have seen it just like I have, and we're experiencing the same thing down there where I work. But, you know, there's a lot of folks moving this way, and we're gonna have to address that pretty quick. And you look around everywhere. I've been paying attention since we started having these conversations. I've come to the conclusion in Smith County, if you don't want to sell it, you better not put a sign in your yard, because somebody buy it before you can get back in the door, which is not a bad thing. I mean, population is growing, maybe it be trades and skills and jobs and all that, but I don't see how. I mean, we've got Carthage Elementary up there that didn't get touched in the renovation. I mean, it's wore out right now. I don't know, if we don't start planning pretty soon, we're gonna do injustice to our children. We're not gonna be able to service them. Forks River is all over the place. I went up there last year and had a drape pulled down between one classroom trying to teach on either side. That's sad. I don't know, we're gonna have to plan for it. It's coming, and It's like right now, we've got every dorm room filled down there where I work because the rent on everything is so high, they've all headed to the dorms. So it's coming this way hot and heavy, and I don't know what else we can do except plan for it.
The director of schools is a good friend of mine at Wilson County, and he's told me, he said, Brad, you better be prepared, they're coming, and we're basically wanting them to, if we can't handle them. And, you know that, Scotty, from working.
I do. I do.
It's coming, and we can prepare, and if we don't, the state's gonna come in and do it for us, I feel like, so.
Well, don't we think with Mr. Smith, don't you think we need to sit down with the, education
Yes,
part of the county commission
absolutely.
and tell them what our needs are and what we want, and that's, they're gonna have to fund it. You know, we can ask and ask and ask until they fund it, we're not gonna get anywhere until it's funded. So with that in tow, I think we need to set up a time to sit down with them and tell them what our needs are. And then,
Well, I mean,
hopefully, they will agree.
They reside here too, just like everybody
Yeah,
else
right.
in the spring. They're bound to be seeing it just like we do.
Right. And, you know, instead of talking about it, let's get this ball rolling.
Well, the great thing about being in the state of Tennessee with the school board's authority, all we have to do is say, we're building something, and by state law, the county has to fund it. Now, that ain't the road you want to go down, because you want to respect
No, I want
both
it to
sides.
be, I want it to be
and you wanna talk
agreeable with
about it.
everybody. I don't
But I
want,
mean, you know, there's an opportunity there that you could go down, and they got to realize that if we sit here tonight and vote to build something, by law, they have to fund it. So
I
that's-
understand,
that's
but-
state of Tennessee law.
but what could happen is, and I don't want this to happen, is state walk in here and tell us what we're gonna do. And that could happen too. And I'd like the board and the county itself to be able to have some kind of direction that we're gonna go with this, instead of the state coming in here and tell us we're gonna do this, this, and this. I mean, if the state walked in here and says, y'all don't need 2 high schools, you just need 1, and that's what you're gonna do. Well, you might as well get the funeral homes ready, because they're gonna be full of people dying. So, you know, it's, we've got to look at the point that we don't want the state in here telling us what to do. We want to try to work something out with the commissioners that they will fund a project that will get us some relief at, and looks to me like, now, I don't know, but from what I can see, the numbers I can see, the problems in Gornsville. You know, it looks like over in this area, we're pretty good shape, but it looks like Gornsville's where the trouble is.
Gornsville's obviously popping, but
Yeah.
you're gonna start getting, in my opinion, from the southerner side, and, you know, the high school at Smith County's getting older, the elementary needs a lot of work, or it's in fantastic shape for its age, but like that's part of the renovation, and we're gonna use the ESSER money on, you know, to update the cafeteria when we get somebody to do it, but we'll get it back, but it's still, the growth is coming, and it's gonna come, I think, from all, the high school's up. Got, what was you, about 20 students, is that right? The last call? I think, but that's what I'm saying, but what I'm saying, you're seeing it
But-
across the county, and the only positive about the state coming in, they'll tell us we need a Cadillac, I mean, we'll have a Cadillac instead of a.
Right. But now, on the, plus, now when you start, well, Scott's got 20. Well, yeah, he's gonna probably find the rooms to put them in, but what about your cafeterias? You know, what about, yeah,
As of today.
so,
What'd you say? I didn't hear you say.
We have room to add.
Yeah.
Hallway, cafeteria's packed.
And some of it's deceiving, because you can grow within to your numbers to get to a certain, you know, it's like filling a box up, you know, the boxes are being used, but those numbers can grow inside that box till they get full, but that's kind of where you're at, you know, New Middleton's there. Gornsville's over, to be honest with you, we're scrapping by. This is probably the only school right here we've got room, quite a bit of growth, and everybody else is pretty much where they need to be at.
Ricky, I know we're talking about the gyms and the parks and going for their, we call them gyms, but they're really called health, what we call them.
Health and wellness centers.
Can they be used as?
That's what they're gonna use theirs for, they're gonna have to. They just to buy time. That's what they wanna use theirs for. He hopes to get about 6 classrooms in it.
So, let's just say the growth, I'm not a doomsayer, but I'm trying to say, what if we level off right at this point, and we're gonna go look and build schools that we don't need or facilities?
You're not gonna level off.
Excuse me?
You're not gonna level off.
Right.
I said, you're not gonna level off.
It's not going to, it's just gonna get worse and worse.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't wanna argue about that, I'm not saying.
Well, there's a 100-house unit going up out there, ain't got the first person in it right now. I talked to, right out here, they're expecting another 100, that's 200 right there in one deal. Tell you another that I don't supposed to know about is 300. I mean, they're coming, that ain't got nothing to do with whether we build a school or not, they're coming. They ain't asking my permission or yours, they're gonna build them.
Can-
Population's always increased, it'll continue to increase.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What, as a board, just talking across the board here, what do y'all think? I think it'd be less than prudent if we don't have a discussion with them and just say, this is kind of what we're seeing, this is kind of what we're anticipating, and start fostering that relationship with where we might have to head, Tommy.
Where we need to go first is, as a board, we need to sit down and see what our needs are.
Agreed.
What our needs are at, before we go meet the county commission. That way, I don't wanna go to the county commission and say, hey, we need money for some buildings, and they said, what do you wanna build? We'll get back with you on that. And, I mean, you wanna go and say, hey, this is what we say our needs is, this, and, we're asking y'all to help fund this, and we need to get this ball rolling in the next year or so, how you gonna fund it? So, I think we'll have to meet and see, I mean, it's like Mr. Smith said, and it's south side of the county's growing right now, but it's not gonna stop there, y'all. It'll eventually trickle on in, and then all of Smith County will be a Wilson County, or maybe not that bad. You know what I'm saying? You got Wilson County sitting in there at Union Heights, you got Wilson County touching over here.
Yeah.
It's coming. Now, how fast it's gonna come depends on probably the economy and how fast they get the houses built, and if people are still buying. It's just like Mr. Lewis said, don't stick that for sale sign in your yard, 'cause, it's probably gonna go.
But don't you agree if we could put a needs-based plan together, that it'd be good, prudent on our part, to start
And
meeting
sit down
and
with
talking
the
and discussing
talk about
that?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We need to sit down and see what our needs are, and
And the universal calculator that they say to use is to use 1.5 per household students. That's what you're supposed to use when you're calculating the numbers coming.
1.5.
1.5 per household.
it might get down to the point, y'all, that this board might have to make some hard decisions, if you've got now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're gonna do this, but, you might have one area that maybe don't have a lot of kids in the school, and they're flooding another area. I mean, there might have to be some hard decisions made somewhere down the road here. I mean, just because everybody's flocking to this one area to go to school, don't mean, hey, we gotta spend oodles and oodles and oodles of money to build another school, and we can say, hey, wait a minute, and I'll say right now, I didn't like the deal we did at New Milton and Gordonsville, but when we did the deal, it's worked out good, but it was said then, guys, that was a Band-Aid. That was a 5 to 7 year Band-Aid when we done that. And you that was sitting on the board at that time, and we made that harsh decision to do it, in my opinion, but it's turned out pretty well. Their test scores at New Milton's good, and it's turned out well. Of course, hindsight, but that was just a Band-Aid. And now they're busting at the same at New Milton, and we're busting at the same at Lawrenceville.
Any more discussion? If not, we're gonna go on to our next discussion, which is on dress code. Mr. Smith, I'd like for you to kind of address that, if you would, please.
Well, I think some of the board members, I know I did, Mr. Apple, I don't know, you're here, because I think we've asked you to be here just in case you and I have talked throughout the week. The first day or two, there was, number one, there's a lot of rumors, okay, they weren't correct, because I even talked to you about a couple of them. But, we've got a dress code that is strict, but it's also written in a way that if it's considered detrimental or it's disruptive to the day, we can take that person and we can discipline or put them outside. There's also, we're not, there's a lot of things out there, we're not allowing kids to act like cats and dogs and so on and so on, if we know about it. I know I asked Mr. Apple about one, you didn't have any, I'd heard you had several that day, but that's not true. You removed some stuff that wasn't appropriate, but it wasn't a cat and a dog.
No, I haven't encountered that. Assistant principals haven't encountered that. We've heard those rumors. I feel like we've been pretty diligent looking for it. We haven't seen it. If we do, we'll take care of it.
And it also says their code of conduct, so, you know, if you're acting like an animal and you felt that was, obviously I would, if I was in a classroom, that would be affected. So, it was one particular school that I might have had one incident and it got took care of, and that was the only one that I'm aware of. But I think we've got a great start. I want our parents to Smith County to assure that's not something we're going to accept if we know it, and if we do, we'd like to, if it is going on, we'd like to know it, because we don't know about it, okay? We appreciate it, because that's not what we want, where students have to be sitting in and our teachers have to teach in that environment.
Discussion, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Smith, if you don't mind, and I had actually sent and asked for this to be on the agenda along with the code of conduct. The reason was I had been contacted by several teachers and 6 different students. And I assured them all that it would be on the agenda and Mr. Smith would address it tonight and just getting started in things. But what they were reaching out to me about was it was disruptive in the classroom for them to be, people be responding to questions with either barking or meowing, which, you know, our code of conduct and everything else addresses that. And he just said, you know, anything like that would be addressed. So I wanted on there just to reassure the parents and the students that yes, we do have policies and procedures for this, and yes, we're going to enforce them, and yes, we've got people in place to do it as long as a teacher or somebody makes them aware of it and all that stuff. But it kind of touched me a little bit that many students reached out, you know what I mean, and it wasn't all from the same place. It was from one side to the other one. And I promised them that we would have it on here tonight, even though I know how y'all feel about it. But I made that promise, so that's why I asked for it to be on here. So I appreciate y'all's listening to Mr. Smith about it.
Any more discussion from anyone? If not, let's go on to next discussions on feeding school employees. And I asked that Mr. Smith have Ms. Dyer here tonight to talk about this.
I've asked Ms. Dyer and Ms. Mitchell both, and I think you researched Norma from the IRS to the state comptrollers. Stephen, give you more of the logistics of the day-to-day, the funding. That's going to cost overall between you two. I could sit here and tell you they're hands-on. We're all been involved, but I'll let whichever one of y'all want to talk first. If you want to talk first.
So when the topic was put on the board agenda, I just reached out to the State Department just to get some guidance from them to see if that is allowed. And because we are a federally funded program, that is not allowed. That would be considered kind of debt for us, and we cannot incur debt in the National School Lunch Program. And so I have the reg that you guys can have a copy of. But one area it just talks about is meals served to adults issue at all. But now that we're in the area that we're in, we are having a lot of supply issues, a lot of food shortages, and I just feel like if we were increasing our numbers of the people that we serve, we would come into more issues. Every week we have a sub-report, or we have foods that are marked out, and that's about anywhere from 6 to 8 pages currently, and that's why sometimes our meeting has to change throughout the month. So that was another concern. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about is our adult meals are $3.25. I feel like that is an excellent price for our teachers and staff in the district. We have not increased since I've been here, and I don't know how long it was $3.25 prior to me being here, but I feel like we serve the students and teachers and adults at great prices as it is. And I just feel like that would just, I don't know, it'd be hard. We love the teachers and staff that eat with us. We have a great support system from our teachers and staff, and we appreciate them so much. And we appreciate all the students and all the board members that come and eat. But those were just a few things. Obviously, as a federally funded program, we cannot do it. But those were some other concerns that I have as well. But thank you all for your support. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I can just cut this real quick. Since I was the one that asked for it to start with, and it's on the agenda, I mean, that's pretty clear that we don't want to violate federal law anywhere. Now, I will say, I appreciate your diligence with that, and Ms. Norma as well, and the facts and figures on it. And don't want there to be any misunderstanding. Now, I think that y'all do a magnificent job. It's nothing like that. All that I was looking for was just maybe one more little small thing that we could do for our employees. And the comment was made that probably one or two it wouldn't be no more than one or two anyway, but it didn't matter to me, the number. I was just asking, again, just for some little small something else, trying to search for something else that we could do with respect to our employees. Now, obviously, I'm going to withdraw that, Mr. Chairman, since we don't want to violate any federal laws, and I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for your diligence on that and the job that you do with everything else.
Ms. Norman, would you like to add anything to it? So you're
I mean, if we're violating federal law, certainly not going to ask to do that.
Any more discussion about it? If not, let's move on. We got a school board retreat. That's what we do every year. We all meet here for 8 hours, and we need to get some time set up.
Already?
Already. That's where we look at you. Pardon?
Yeah, we waited to the tail.
Yeah, we rated to the last.
It runs June to July,
Yeah.
I think, and we
So-
waited, was on the tail end, so now we're in a new season, so now we're ready
Yep.
to go again.
What do y'all think about Miss Tracy getting some dates together, starting, what are y'all thinking?
I think you should start that. Snow, that was our problem last year.
Yeah, with snow, what,
I say start late March, first April.
or,
I like January, February, March, somewhere right in there.
You'll let her see if you can get a couple
Yep.
dates in each
Yeah,
month. and
start getting some,
pick.
couple of dates with Tammy.
a couple in January, a couple in February, and a couple in March.
I don't care as long as it's suit everybody else, but I don't care for me.
That won't get us into a situation that it would be, run us to the last minute and maybe
Is
some
there
other.
any days of the week that's terrible for somebody, that way she knows?
Thursdays is bad for me.
Mondays,
Thursdays.
Thursdays,
Thursdays are bad for me.
Wednesday, Thursdays? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a
if we
Tuesday.
tried to get it on a board meeting day, that would probably be better for anybody, everybody. Look
Get it all one day.
The Tuesdays would be good.
Tuesday would be fine.
Tuesdays be good for everybody if you get
Yeah.
it.
We can do it on Tuesday. And, okay, let me finish this up and then we'll get you, Marty. So we got all that handled. Everybody's had a chance to look at their board policies for July. I've reviewed all of that. Do we need any executives to say?
Going back just a little bit, I did check in the discussion, 1.200 does say the board officers are eligible for reelection, but I'll make sure
Okay, okay,
Certainly
great.
don't think we get any.
Okay, all right. No executive session, so, Marty?
I mentioned this earlier, and I know, but have we looked any more into electronic voting, vote casting?
I have, Mark, I will, I just hadn't done it, I've actually forgot it. I'm sorry, I'll get it. I know Wilson County does it, and I'll see how they do theirs.
Is anything for anybody else? If not, I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. All in favor, aye.